So hello, happy and honored to be back speaking at OTT.X this morning. As Eric mentioned, my name is Tanya. I am the Director of Customer Success at Premier Digital. I'll be speaking to you today about managing your avails and how you can monetize your digital catalog. So previous to my life at Premier, I was an international account manager at NBC Universal. I had worked for NBC for about 5 years when I entered that role, and I thought I knew the catalog, but I didn't really know the deep catalog. And through my experience with the account management team, I learned about this thing that they called drafting, which meant that we would take our library titles and try to price drop them if a new movie was releasing that had the same actress or actor or similar genre, or it was centered around a specific holiday. And all of this was done using these massive Excel files that our business insights team would put together for us. And we're talking just massive files with thousands of rows of data, all of our title names, in order for us to be able to craft these like tailored promotions to give our deeper catalog some love. Obviously, this nuance today is tremendously important. The catalog, the library, there's more value in that than ever before because everyone is at home. I myself just last week wanted to really watch Trainwreck, and as I was looking on iTunes, I'm like, ooh, it's part of a bundle. You know, when you bundle, you save. So I literally now have 5 additional movies in my digital library just because I wanted to watch Trainwreck. And none of these movies were also available in any of the 10 platforms that I currently subscribe to. That happens. And then another reason why the catalog and your library titles are on demand now is because there isn't tons of new content. People are catching up on old movies that they never really got around to watching. I mean, I myself just recently watched Caddyshack and The Secret to My Success, which are like these classic films that I would have probably never made time for, given that there isn't a lot of like new releases that I would focus my attention on. And, being that we're all industry folks, you guys have heard, movie theaters still aren't open specifically here in LA. I think there was some recent studies that like, yeah, movie theaters were going to reopen, and then it turns out that they're still not open. But it also seems that, from this Variety article, that people are inclined to continuing to watch new movies from home. And although movie theaters will eventually reopen, big tentpole titles like Top Gun Maverick and Fast and Furious 9 have been pushed an entire year because some of these films still need to be enjoyed on the big screen. And in addition to that, so my family has never been, people that would rent or buy movies digitally. And I think studies have now shown also that audiences that have never rented a movie at home have recently started to. Just over the weekend, we overheard from friends, the new release from MGM, Bill and Ted Face the Music. They were like, yeah, I just rented that movie. It was pretty awesome. So, we're starting to see that more as a thing of the present. In addition to that, there's just like movies are on everyone's mind. The Added Character magazine, Town and Country, actually was touting in an article like the best top 10 movies regarding like widespread plagues and diseases and viruses. And I've never read a Town and Country, and I found that to be kind of interesting. And in addition to that, old movie formats are making a comeback, like drive-ins. It's awesome. It's open air. You're in your car. You feel safe. So definitely something that I think I had touted this in my presentation previously at the last OTT.X conference. And if I didn't, I regretted it because I did write it down. So anyway, here we are. Drive-ins are now a thing again. And movies and television, as we all well know, help us to escape. Advertising from like way back in the day, like during World War II and all of these different like tragic kind of eras, people would go to the movies to either get their news, to be social. And so it just, movies and television will always have a special place for us. And in addition to that, we're all looking for normalcy. I myself would love to go into the office. I would also like to get some happy hour drinks with my colleagues and my friends. And the Atlantic recently published an article about the recent uptick in Google searches relating to the terms normal and normalcy. Again, I this morning literally picked up a pumpkin spice latte because it brings me tremendous joy. And just, I want to feel normal. It's just the little things these days. And in addition to the upticks of Googling normalcy and normal, for kids specifically, it's, they're still not able to go back to school, although some schools are reopening slowly. It's just all very different. So, I mean, usually around this time in September, kids are going back to school. So content that is related to, high school or schools, I'll usually see a big uptick. But shows like Degrassi, The Next Generation, which is available on Tubi, by the way, has had some major upticks. And this is something we heard from a potential client that they're like, oh my God, they themselves couldn't believe it. They're like, yeah, we usually do pretty well. But this is these numbers are crazy right now. And it's, again, kids aren't going to school. They want to kind of feel like they are in school. And so they're watching, school related content. And I mean, we're still kind of in this pivot phase. 6 months in, we've seen over 14 films go straight into home. At the very beginning in March, we saw some of those titles that were actually in theaters and then came off right after we went on lockdown. And pricing among these PVOD titles continues to vary. Some studios have taken the approach of, this is like you're going to a movie theater, you're gonna pay the premium rate for the rental of $19.99, while other studios have taken the approach of, well, you could rent it or you can own it for a few more dollars. So it's there's still not a consensus amongst the studios on how the approach is. But I'll tell you what, NBC Universal got me twice. I rented the movie for my family Trolls World Tour weekend of release, and then lo and behold, 2 weeks later, my mom called me. She's like, your niece wants to see it again. So then here we go, another $19. Where when Scoop came out, I actually just bought it because I knew that she would eventually want to see it again. So. And I mean, I think all of the slides that I've covered thus far are regarding social cues. And if social cues can tell us anything, is that we're now stepping into a point where we're going to start seeing films about the current pandemic and the recounting of history in a short period of time. So, for example, this documentary Coronation, which looks super interesting and is available on certain platforms from what I read in this article. And so if we know anything, is that for content owners and digital platforms, it is important to know where your content is at, make sure that you're monitoring, it's like an insurance policy, knowing what's going on with your content. I've spoken at the last conference and I did a demo of our SaaS tool Storefront, if you guys remember. And one of the reasons why we developed it was to manage large libraries and help content owners with their catalog. And truly, there's no better time than the present to pay attention and monitor your content, your library content, as well as your new release content. And we have tools to help you. So add our tools to your toolbox. So if you're interested, let's chat. It's always better to use live use cases because day-to-day pain points vary from client to client. And I think it's always just better that we talk about it and then I can show you what modules we offer and see if you could use us. So again, my name is Tanya. My email address is at the bottom of the slides. Feel free to reach out. I am handing it over. I know I'm a little early. I'm handing it over to my boss's boss, Steve Rosenberg, who will be walking you through the world of channels.